Well, if that wasn't the perfect song, right? Nowhere else he'd rather be today than fishing with any of us in this room. You know, the best times of my brother's life were spent with a rod in his hand. And there's no doubt about that, you know. And, you know, the first thing he loved was fishing. The second thing he loved was talking about fishing. You know, that's what he loved to do with his kids. He was so proud. The first day he got to teach y'all how to fish, but the most memorable day, the one he talked about the most, truly, was there was a day, and forgive me, I don't know exactly what day it was. You know, it was your dad. He told these big fishing stories. I had to confirm the facts with your mom just to make sure I told the right story. They went fishing, him and the kids, and you know, it was a great day for fishing. It was a beautiful, amazing day for fishing. Although the catching was terrible. Absolutely, they didn't catch a thing. I mean, I take that back. They did catch a thing. They caught a turtle. And God love you, Karen, you let him bring it home. And these kids loved on this turtle for years. They named him Fred or Shelly, depending on which child you asked. You know, had two names, boy or girl, who knows. That turtle was living his best life. And that was Guy. That was truly Guy. You know, he had a love for animals. He had such a compassion, a love for fishing, and really just taking care of his kids, you know, and that was really the most important thing. And, you know, I was trying to think back to probably my favorite fishing story, and, you know, Jeannie and Guy taught me everything I know. I go all the time. And it's funny because last summer, I had booked a house down in Rockport, and I was gonna go fishing, and Addison was 3 at the time, and I said, well, I'm not gonna take her. And Guy's like, why aren't you you need to take your daughter. I said, well, I'm gonna have to hold her on my hip and all this, and I don't have time for that, right? I'm there to fish. I don't wanna hold baby on the hip, you know, like I'm there to do something. And he's like, Roxanne Bowers, you know, you take that girl fishing. She's 3 years old, she needs to learn how to fish. And I was like, okay, you're right. He loved it when I said he was right. You're right, you were right, okay? And so we get down there, and, you know, been there for about a day, and he had to work, so he couldn't come, and he calls me up on the phone. He's like, so how's she doing? Because he loved Addison. How's she doing? I said, well, the good news is she's got her cast down, right? She's already casting overhead. She's doing a fantastic job. He's like, catch anything yet? I said, well, you know, not yet, you know, but we're working on it, we're getting there. And he said, well, what kind of rig do you have on there? And I said, well, I got her bobber, and I put like some saltwater taffy stuff that I always use when I go down there. And he goes, well, Erin, you know, based on the phase of the moon and the tide and the time of year, and just started going on and on, yada, yada, yada. I just tuned him out. He goes, what you need to do is go over there, take off that bobber, clip on a weight, hook a live shrimp. And I said, Guy Crawford, for the love of God, you taught me everything I know about fishing. I don't need to hear this right now. I got better things to do right now. Stop, you know, I'm fussing at him. I said, go back to work. You need to go back to work. I need to go back fishing. I'm done. I love you. You always hung up the phone with I love you, regardless. Love you. Hung up the phone. So I took a deep breath. I said, Addie, bring me your pole. She walked right over. I took off the bobber. I put a little clip weight, hooked her a live shrimp. Okay, fine, whatever. Went and casted, started doing my own thing. The next thing I know, I hear, no, 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 no. Exactly, that's exactly what I heard. That's exactly what I heard. And I said, oh my God, what's wrong? And she is like, tears running down her face, feverishly reeling it in. And in that moment, I realized that my sweet little daughter loves to fish, but she hates to catch. Hates it with cries hysterically. God love her to this day. Every time she catches a fish, she cries. You've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And so, okay, so she reels it in, I grab the rod, we get a picture, you know, put it back, pick up the phone, call Guy. He goes, hello, real smart, you know, he's real smart. I said, hey, he's like, how's it going? Did you catch anything yet? I said, yep. He said, hardhead? I said, nope, thought it was gonna be a hardhead. He's like, oh, okay. What kind of rig do you have? And I said, well, I went over there, I took the bobber off, put the clip weight on, hooked her live shrimp. And he's like, yeah, and? Oh yeah? Oh yeah? And I'm like, yeah, Guy, you were right. You were right. Okay, I get it. And we were laughing. We had that relationship. We could tease each other like nobody's business. And I said, he said to me, okay, well, what'd you catch? I said, well, she caught a dogfish. Out of all things, we're down in Rockport, a dogfish. And he goes, well, you know, Erin, don't stick your finger in that fish's mouth, and da-da-da-da. And I said, "Guy, I gotta go. I'm done. I know what a dog, okay, love you, bye." And we laughed. To the last days, we laughed about that story. Because that was Guy. And that's where it's gonna get really hard, is when I wanna go fishing. And I don't have anybody to tell me what bait to use. I taught my husband how to fish, believe it or not. I taught my girlfriends, I have several girlfriends I go fishing with that are here, taught them how to fish. Guy taught everybody, directly or indirectly. He wanted everybody to love the same thing he loved, you know, and that was Guy. But one thing that I think a lot of people in this room do not know about my brother is how much he cared. You know, my brother put on a great facade. He was so good at, you know, just BSing with the best of them and being the fun, cool guy. Let's go fishing, let's have fun. But in reality, the conversations that we used to have was how much he cared and how intuitive he was to people's feelings. You know, he knew when he hurt somebody, even if you never told him that, I guarantee you he knew that, because that was Guy. And he never wanted to upset anybody. He was just a people pleaser, absolutely. And I think the best example of that is, I gotta take you guys back about 17 years. I was down in Brazoria at the Brazoria house, and I was in the front closet. And for those of you who do not know, the front closet is where all of Leslie and Joe's things were. It was memorialized. We were never allowed to go in that closet, you know? And so, then that's relevant to the story. So, I happened to go in there for something, and I found this bowling ball. And I went and grabbed it, asked Jeannie, I said, whose bowling ball is this? She's like, oh, that's your mama's. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this Guy, like, can I have it? Like, that would be great, you know? She's like, yeah, take it. Guy's already gotten everything he wants. Awesome, I'm gonna take her bowling ball. So for 16 years, I carried this ball from house to house. And every move, I cried like a baby, because I was like, over a bowling ball, right? Do I keep this stupid ball? Do I get rid of it? Is now the time? What am I gonna do? But I said, you know what, I'm gonna take it anyway. I'm gonna take it anyway. And then fast forward to last year. Guy's in New Braunfels with us, and he was over with me and Crawford. And we were just sitting there hanging out, and they were getting ready to go bowling, him and Crawford, because they love to go bowling together. And he was sitting there complaining to me. He was about to join a bowling league, and he's like, man, I wish I had my bowling stuff, but it's in Houston and my storage and yada yada. And I said, well, why don't you use Mom's ball? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I have Leslie's ball. He's like, no, you don't. Oh, yes, I do. Oh, I know exactly where it is, Guy Crawford, and I will go get it right now, because I know I do. And I walk off, and as I'm walking back, I'm talking big game, right? Because I'm like certain. If anybody knows, I know. Even again, I was 6 months old, but if anybody knows, I knew that was her ball. That's what I've been doing my whole life, you know, crying over this damn stupid ball, you know? So I walk in there, and the look on his face goes from like laughing to almost in tears. And he goes, honey, baby, I don't know how to tell you this. And I said, what? Just tell me. I said, tough, just tell me, what is it? I said, this is Leslie's ball, what is it? That's not Mama's ball. Okay, yes it is. No, it's not. You see those things in the finger holes? They didn't make those in the 80s. And there was a long pause, because it took me a minute to connect the dots. And I'm like, okay. Whose ball have I been crying over for the last 16 years? That's what I need to know. He goes, sweetheart, don't cry, but that's my ball. And I go, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, you're kidding me. You're messing with me. You're joking, right? Because you could never tell with Guy. He was joking, you could never tell. And he was so distraught. He was so worried I was about to start crying. And then I just started laughing hysterically, because it was so funny. It was so funny. I was like, all these years, I've been carrying around these feelings and these tears, because that's what I felt like I had to do, I needed to do, when in reality it was my brother's ball the whole time. And I said, well, good news. I've been taking great care of your bowling ball. You can have it back now, I'm done. I'm done crying over your bowling ball. Thought I was, but I'm done. I was done at the moment. And we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. And as he was leaving that day, I'll never forget, we were still laughing. And I said, I can't wait to tell this story at your funeral, because that was our sense of humor. We joked about things that most normal people, if you will, do not joke about, because we have been through the hardest together. And so to get through that, we always used humor. Really kind of sick, twisted stuff, but and so it's not lost on the irony today of what's going on. And I think the best example of guys' humor that I can tell today in front of children is, I think back to my wedding day. And I was planning my wedding, and I said, you know what? I know I need to dance with my dad. I know I need to dance with my husband. But I want to dance with my brother first. So I pick up the phone, I call my brother up, and I say, I want you to dance with me at the wedding. We do it. Well, I don't like to be the center of attention. Okay, and? Well, I don't really know how to dance. Okay, and? Well, and finally I was like, Guy Crawford, it is not about you, sweetheart. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's about me. Sorry. And I said, I tell you what, listen to the song, and then you'll see why I want to dance to that song in memory of Leslie and Joe. And so just to set the scene for nobody who was at the wedding, we wanted to get married on a cruise ship because we wanted it easy, show up with the dress, be done, go on a cruise, all the fun things. And so the day of the wedding, get to the ceremony, get to the reception, and it's time for me to dance with my brother. And we go out there on the dance floor, and I'm already crying hysterically. Cannot stop, just full on panic. I thought I was gonna have a panic attack, like full on. And everybody's staring, and everybody else is crying, which made me cry even more. And Guy leans in and he says, Erin, you gotta stop this. You gotta stop this right now. He goes, your mother and father are here. Our mother and father are here. And they would not want this. And I'm like, I can't. I'm the ugly crying, not pretty crying, like ugly crying. Pretty sure I didn't wear waterproof mascara that day either. I mean, it was bad. And Guy leans in real close and he says, Erin, so help me God, if you do not stop crying right now, I'm going to aggressively grab your butt, didn't say that word, butt, in front of God and everybody else. Because he knew that would get a rise out of me. He just knew that because that's what he used to do. Chris had to adjust when we first got married. Karen had to adjust to it. It was weird. I was weirded out, but he did it to get a rise out of it. I know I did it, but whatever. So in that moment, there's a picture actually of us, and my face is kind of like, because I knew he was serious. He was serious. And I looked at him and I said, Guy Crawford, I swear to God, if you do this, I said, my new in-laws are here. You know what I mean? Everybody's watching us. They're gonna think we're crazy. And he goes, let him. Because in the end, it never matters anyway. And that was Guy. Let him. That's the best advice he ever gave me. Stop caring what everybody else thinks. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, we're all here anyway, right? Doesn't matter, So today, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. I don't. It was hard closing the casket, but for him, I know that's not what he would have wanted. And so we're gonna play that song in just a minute, but before we do, I need to say one last thing. Being Guy's sister is the only life I've ever known. That's all I had. And this burden that he carried in this life was really hard, really hard. Nobody knows the extent of how hard it was because you weren't there at 3 a.m. But I guarantee you right now, his wings are really light. And that burden's gone. We laid that down. So rest easy, my brother. It's now your time to fly high with Mom and Dad. I love you.